Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today on this lovely afternoon. We are the Harvard Federal Credit Union, and we'll be talking about auto financing. On the call today, we have Jen Fries, Ty Robinson, and Kimberly Smith. But again, please, if you're joining us, take your time getting settled in. We'll be starting shortly. And as we get started, please, we have our lovely hosts on today. Jen Fries is our community engagement manager. Ty Robinson is in the background as a community engagement specialist, putting links in the chat. And I am Terrence Brazil, also a community engagement specialist. And I'm very excited to have you all here today. Okay, and for today's webinar, we have reduced all background noise and we muted all attendees. So anything that you have going on in the background, please, no concerns at all. Eat your food, pet your dog, play with your kids, what have you. Please use the questions feature. We would love to see questions. Please, if you can, take some time right now. Let us know where you're joining us from to let us know that it works. And also, this presentation is being recorded and will be uploaded to our YouTube channel to rewatch at harvardfcu.org or YouTube/Harvard FCU. There we go. And please take our post-workshop survey. Let us know how we did. And let me see if I see anybody in the Q&A feature using that. I do see somebody joining us from Florida. So awesome. Thank you very much. And let's keep going.
Now I would like to introduce Kimberly Smith from the Employee Assistance Program, and she's going to tell you a little bit about all the great benefits that you have.
Thanks, Jen. Hi there. My name is Kim Smith. I'm one of the senior EAP consultants for MGB. Really happy to partner with Jen, Terrence, and Ty today. This is a great group. Should be a good training. And so, as you can see on the slide here, one of our mottos is no problem is too big or too small. If you have a question about work-life resources, just ask us. You'll see at the bottom here our phone number, so 866-742-4327. And then we have a really great website with many resources, and we have a language feature that you can alter the language and many on there for you or family members to look through. So what do we do? What is the EAP for? So we're for you for any family and life resources, whether that's related to childcare, finances, like partnering with Harvard Federal Credit Union, legal services, anything related to parenting, as well as your personal and your well-being. So we do some short-term counseling for employees. We've helped find them connections to therapists in the community. And we do a lot of workplace consultation as well. So we work with managers, HR, and come and see you when bad things happen in the workplace to give you a place to talk about it. I think that's it. That's my slide, and I'm going to turn it back over. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and I'll respond when needed.
Thanks so much, Kimberly. We did put the link in the chat for employee assistance as well.
Okay, so before we get started into the meat and the potatoes of our presentation today, let's talk about what is Harvard FCU. If you are new here, or if you are joining us and you've joined us for one of our presentations in the past, thank you. But let's level set, make sure everybody's on the same page. Harvard FCU is a community-focused, accessible anywhere. We have great products and service, not-for-profit banking financial institution, completely for the Harvard community and now beyond as we've changed our charter. So what that means is free access to ATMs nationwide. If you are taking out cash and you get those surcharge fees, which can be anywhere from $2 to $4 these days, which is really high, we will actually refund them to you, which is one of the perks of being a Harvard FCU member. And we are accessible anywhere. What that means is we also participate in share branching. If you join the Harvard community and you join the credit union and you for some reason leave Cambridge, you are still able to come in and not come in. You're still able to access it from any state as long as they participate in the share branching for any credit union, your accounts just as if you were here in Cambridge. Oh, and also once a member, always a member. So as we get started on our car buying journey today, as any good plan or road trip or trip needs, we're going to start with making a plan. And that is looking at our options, seeing what our pit stops are going to be, whether it's going to be stopping for gas, stopping for food, what have you. We're going to make a lot of euphemisms today when it comes to car buying and journeys. So that way we keep a nice cohesive message as throughout this presentation. Next slide. Okay, so we're going to talk about some of the advantages of leasing today. I have personally leased a car. I leased my Honda Civic back in 2017 for 3 years. And some of the benefits that I had was I did like driving a brand new car. It was pretty nice. I will say I went from an '04 Civic to a 2017 Civic, and that was a good time.
Hey,
I
before you go on about the advantages, Terrence, can we just make sure everyone knows what is leasing? I've
oh
never done that before. What does it mean to lease a car?
Oh, perfect. So leasing a car. It is actually renting a car in where I'm not paying for the entire value of the car. So at the time it was like $20,000. I only leased a portion of it. So I was renting it for 3 years and I could use it for 36,000 miles. And at the end of that lease, I had the option to return the car back to the dealership or purchase it outright. So leasing is really just renting a car for a portion of time, and then you're faced with the option of buying it or returning it.
Okay, that's a great option. So to tell us more about the advantages and disadvantages to leasing.
The advantages to ooh, can actually, Jen, do you mind taking a minute? My mom's called me like 4 times now. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead. All right. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this. Apologies, everybody. Life comes up sometimes. So leasing is a great option for people who do want to drive a new car more frequently. If that's something that's important to you, it also can end up having you get you in a vehicle for a lower payment because it has lower upfront costs and a lower monthly payment. And then the downsides to leasing are that the vehicle does not belong to you. You often have an option to buy at the end, um, but you don't own that car. And it may affect what car insurance that you have to get. You may have to get a specific car insurance that your leasing entity is putting forward to you. And you might end up having to be hit with some fees if you have exceeded the mileage limit. So Terrence mentioned that he had a mileage cap. And so if he had exceeded that mileage cap, he might have been paying some fees. And there can be difficulties sometimes if you need to get out of a lease early. So if for whatever reason you maybe you inherit a car or something and you just realize you don't need it, well, it can be difficult to get out of a lease at that point. You may be paying some fees um, or charges to get out of that. So Terrence,
Yes.
anything else you want to say about your leasing experience? It's been good for you so far?
To be honest, yes, it has been. I will say one more caveat is I wouldn't recommend leasing if you have kids or pets because you are responsible for maintaining the interior of the vehicle and making sure it's in good condition. And if you aren't reliably able to do that, I wouldn't get into it. I would go with a used vehicle. Just my little caveat there.
Yeah. I think that's a good one. And I didn't mention that the maintenance is all provided by the leasing firm, except for those interiors that
Hmm.
Terrence is talking about. So good tip. And then I'm going to tell you a little bit about, I've always bought a car. I've never leased before. So I thought I would tell you a little bit about why I make those choices. So I've had times where I bought new and I've had times where I bought used. I think we all know that a new car may be more reliable. It's usually under warranty at least. So if it has any issues, it's usually the manufacturer or the dealership is covering those. Of course, if you're buying a new car, you're more likely to be able to get the color, the customized features that you want. And those could be important to you. In general, a new car depreciates quite a lot they say, as soon as you drive it off the lot, you lose a lot of the value of a car. So that's just something to keep in mind as you're making your budget. And you will be paying higher insurance for a new car, obviously. And it's going to be a little bit more, obviously, to buy new. Although right now we're kind of in this funny place last couple of years where sometimes used is just as expensive. So look around. And then in terms of buying used, that's something that I've done several times before. It works for me. I'm not someone who is very conscious of what kind of car I drive. So I'm, so long as I can find something that's going to be reliable and get good gas mileage, that is great for me. So I ended up buying a used Toyota Prius. I was a little nervous about it because some people told me, oh no, if the battery goes, then it can be really expensive. Well, 5 years later, it's been a great purchase. I bought it used, maintained it. You do have to budget a little bit more money if you're buying used for repairs because you're typically not under warranty, or if you get one, it's going to be a short warranty, or you'll have to pay for the warranty. Either way, you have to have more money for that, for your repairs. And you may need to replace it a little bit sooner. You also need to do some work to learn the car history, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So when you're buying used, you want to find out about the repair history of the car. So the way that you're going to do that is get what's called the vehicle identification number, or the VIN. The VIN is a little number. It's typically in your windshield. You can see it. It is a unique number to that vehicle. So every vehicle has a VIN, and you can run a vehicle history report through Carfax or any of the other services and find out whether that vehicle has been in an accident, whether that vehicle has been flooded. That's a key one because often that kind of damage a car will not come back from or run the same after that. So you do want to know, what has this vehicle been through, and then what maintenance has happened. And then it's a great idea to take that vehicle to an independent mechanic that you trust and have them look it over, see if they have any concerns about you buying it. And that's because you don't have the same consumer protections, particularly if you're doing a private sale. If you're buying from a dealer, you'll have some of the consumer protections, but not as many as when you buy new. And when you buy a private sale, you're pretty much on your own. So you have to do that due diligence, talk to your mechanic, etc., because you don't want to be stuck with a purchase that you're going to regret. Most of those private sales are as is. So you're buying whatever it is, whether it's in poor condition or good condition.
Have any experience with buying any private sale cars, Jen?
Yes, I did once do a private sale, and again, that worked out for me. I bought a Toyota Corolla with cash through Craigslist. This is back in the day. And, part of me was like, oh gosh, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing, but it was a deal, but not a crazy deal. So sometimes you have to be able to just reality check. Like if it's an unbelievable deal, maybe there's some fraud component or something going on. It was, in line with the Kelley Blue Books. It was a pretty good deal. The vehicle had mostly been garaged, and I went ahead and did that private sale, and I did not regret that. I was happy with the car. And yeah, so it depends on your circumstances and where you're at and how confident you feel, for instance, in your mechanic. If you're new to the area, maybe you don't have someone like that you trust, or maybe there's somebody else that you can bring along, or maybe you have that kind of know-how yourself to look under the hood. I didn't, so I had to have somebody else look at it. But yeah, I think for me, that was a great thing to do at that time because I did not want a car payment. And so I was able to do that and not worry about it. So then
Nice.
a lot of the time, then you may also have another vehicle that you're trying to decide what to do with. So you just want to go through and ask yourself those questions about, do you want to keep it because maybe there's someone in your family coming up as a new driver. I have a new driver in my family. My daughter is learning how to drive right now. So if I were trading up my car, I might be like, do I want to keep my current car for her and then just buy my new one or used one outright? or do I want to do a trade-in or sell the old car? So the difference being selling the car would typically be a separate transaction. Trade-in, it's all going to be part of the same transaction. You're buying your car, your dealer is giving you trade-in value. And the most common thing you will see is you'll get less money for a trade-in than if you sell it yourself because you're taking on the difficulty of selling a car. So you have to decide whether that is worth it for you. Often it's a good idea to fix minor things. Like I've often gotten a car detailed before I go to sell it. Just to, make it look its best, and things that you might be overlooking, like Terrence was talking about, like I have pet, I have a kid,
Yeah.
when she
Yeah.
was younger. So, you get a little bit used to the crumbs or whatever, but no, go and get it detailed, get it in its best possible shape, so that you can sell it. Other times I have just traded a car in because wherever I was at that time in my life, I did not want to take the time or effort to try and figure out selling it. Maybe I was moving and needed to kind of get things out. So took a little bit lower price, a little bit lower amount for it in a trade-in just for the convenience of that procedure. So
I will say, not to cut you off, Jen, that trade-ins may not give you the best bang for your buck because dealerships will typically lowball you because they will either sell that car again to auction or try to put it back on the lot to see if they can make a profit.
you're
So if you,
definitely going to make less money on a trade-in. It's just a convenience thing. If you decide that you can still make some money on it, and maybe you just want it out of your driveway, you just want the new one there. So
yeah,
it's one of those things that you just have to weigh for yourself and decide. And now we're going to talk about a little bit about the whole budgeting process for buying a car
yes,
and knowing your finances. So Terrence, you want to take it away for a bit?
100%. So knowing your finances, when it comes to buying a car, it's common to only consider the car payment and the insurance payment and be tunneled in when it comes to trying to get the best interest rate and best loan from whoever you're dealing with, whether it's the dealership or the financial institution where you're pre-approved. But when it comes to looking at your budget holistically and adding a car in, there are multiple things to be aware of when it comes to taxes and registration, inspection stickers, wear and tear, gas and parking, and oil changes. These costs can add up and they are incredibly relevant to maintaining your vehicle in good working condition because it's important to maintain it on a regular basis so that way you're not hit with a large maintenance bill that you're not expecting. Flat tires and like small emergencies do pop up, but if you can incorporate them into your budget ahead of time where you're planning for those little emergencies, the planning ahead will prevent the potential life altering emergency that a flat tire could bring, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So, having some savings set aside for car maintenance and insurance, even costs, especially if you're new to that, is a great way to go into it so that you're not feeling stuck,
Actually,
feeling like you have to put something on credit.
to drill deeper into insurance, look at what your options are for insurance. My niece recently got a brand new car, and insurance in Massachusetts is incredibly expensive for young drivers. I think it was like her premium was 7 grand, and it was huge. If
Yeah.
you can buddy up with a family member, that's an option for cost savings. Also, if you want to save on parking in the city is incredibly expensive. If you can get some deals from your employer or maybe carpool, whatever ways that you can save money when it comes to having a car, it's always going to be a great option.
Yeah. And definitely insurance is going to be a lot more for a brand new vehicle. So that's one where you really need to, you may be used to paying for your vehicle that you've owned for a while, the insurance, and you think, well, it's only going to be the same amount, $70 or whatever. And then you go and get it something new, and all of a sudden it jumps way up. So that
Hmm.
is something to definitely keep in mind. For me, once I had a decent emergency fund, I bumped up all the deductibles on my insurance because you're going to get a lower monthly rate. And if I get in an accident, yes, I have to come up with 1,000, 2,000, whatever it may be. But I know myself. I know I'm not getting in a ton of accidents, and that was a worth it for me to do that trade-in. So,
Nice.
um,
Okay, so let's talk about the effects of a down payment. So now this slide looks a little bit busy, but I'll do my best to break it down to make it bite-sized, to make it easy to understand. If you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A. I love them. Be more than happy to answer them. So this, not everybody has the chance or the financial situation to put some money down, but if you are one of those people and you're kind of mulling it over, this will help you decide which down payment works best for you in relation to your loan amount and the monthly payment. If we're looking at the first line, we're looking at zero money down, so the loan amount stays the same at 25,000. That gives a monthly payment of 507. If you have tight cash flow and you really want to ensure that you are making those monthly, if you want to have a tight budget and you want to have a lower monthly payment, see if you can put down a little bit more money, for example, $5,000 or $10,000. It does equal some pretty significant savings when it comes to that monthly payment. And one more click, Jen, we're going to take a look at the interest rate and the total interest paid. So when you're putting down a little bit more, you can see there is some significant cost savings when it comes to the interest paid overall. I'd like to say I like my lender. I don't love my lender. And if you are able to put down a little bit more, you can see, hey, you know what? Putting down an extra 10 grand saved me $2,000 in interest paid. And my total vehicle cost was pretty in line with my purchase price, 3 grand over as opposed to no money down and almost paying an extra 5 to 6 grand in my total vehicle cost. And this again is only the vehicle cost, not the insurance, not the gas and whatnot. So the effects for down payment can be substantial, depending on what your needs and your overall goals are, whether it's monthly cash flow or saving on total interest paid.
yeah, great points, Terrence. Thank you.
And if you are in the market and you are looking to purchase a vehicle and you want to do what we did here with the little chart, visit harvardfcu.org/calculators and you'll be able to input your same situation, your same numbers, and you can play with them a little bit. So you can budget out a little bit further out to see, hey, how much car can I truly afford? What's my monthly payment looking like? What will my cash flow be after I get the car? These are things that you want to be mindful of as you're entering the car buying market, especially with interest rates right now.
Yeah, and thank you. Ty's been putting some of these links into the chat. So if you don't have the chat window open, folks, you can open it and see, how to click in and get to those calculators.
Yes. Thanks, Ty. So we do have a presentation on credit, which goes a little bit more into depth on the credit score impact. But for this scenario, we're going to be looking at the impact of a lower credit score, 520, versus a higher credit score at 790. And these rates are only for educational purposes. But it is pretty accurate. Whereas if you have a higher credit score, you will have qualified for a lower interest rate. And you can see with the monthly payment, it's not that different. And this is where dealerships tend to kind of catch you, where if you really hone in on, I can only spend X amount per month, and they try to say, oh, well, if you just get a little bit more in 46 and 444, not that big of a difference. But that's not where it really starts to matter. It starts to matter when it comes to the total interest paid. This is a dramatic difference, almost $4,000 to $5,000 more compared to 520 versus 790. And oh,
Oh, sorry.
no, you're good.
Sorry, y'all.
No.
Okay, we had one more thing we wanted to show you here, which is
And boom. So this is the next step of things, the total interest paid. And it may not feel like you're paying that much interest month to month as you're making the payments over a 5-year loan. But I guarantee you, your dealership and your lender know the difference because that's that money coming into them as income. And again, I like my lender. I don't love my lender. If I don't have to pay extra interest to my lender for the same vehicle, I'm not going to do it just because I want to do it. And I want all of us to be active borrowers and not passive borrowers. Seeing if maybe you can refinance that loan after a certain amount of time. If your credit score is not a place where you would like it to be, that's not a death sentence. You're not there forever. There is hope to transverse into a better credit score as long as you are taking into consideration good financial habits and incorporating them into your daily life, whether it's making your payments on time and paying them in full. If you want a bit more meaty details on how to improve your credit score, please visit our YouTube page and you can see our multiple presentations on credit. And you can also visit Green Path and Learning Lab Plus, which I will talk more about a little bit later.
Okay, thank you.
So when it comes to lending, younger buyers, or maybe if you don't have the best credit score, you might require a cosigner. I required a cosigner for my lease because I think I was 21 or 22 at the time. I didn't have a whole bunch of credit history. And my dad, he was willing and he said, I got you. I got your back. And it was great. It was great as a first time buyer. But I do want to mention, if you are considering being the cosigner and not the person who needs the cosigner, you are legally responsible for that debt. And that translates to, if you are considering getting a loan for yourself in the future, or if you want to refinance, that debt will be held against you as your financial responsibility. Way back when I was a mortgage loan officer, and I had people looking to refinance, and they had co-signed on their children's student loan debt and or car debt, that's substantial, and that very much does matter. So it is a very serious responsibility. I wouldn't co-sign on someone that you're not trusting of to make the payments on time, because if they don't, that does come back on you. But it is helpful. I will say it's very helpful, but it is a very serious thing to be a co-signer.
Agreed.
Um,
So Terrence was mentioning about improving your credit. One of the first steps that we definitely recommend in terms of taking a look at where your credit is and how you can improve it is to take a look at your credit report and make sure that all the information is accurate. It's going to show you whether the lender has listed you as paying on time and according to the terms, whether you're current. So this is the only site that we recommend. It's the one authorized by the federal government. It's annualcreditreport.com. If you just Google credit report, you're probably going to get a lot of sites that want to charge you. That's not what you want. You shouldn't have to put in your credit card to get your credit report. It is free from each of the 3 bureaus every week. You could, in theory, and that's a lot, but it doesn't hurt your credit to just look at your credit report. This is not the same as applying for credit. So go ahead and take a look at those, make sure that those seem accurate to you, and those will give you some first steps about potentially improving your credit as well. And as Terrence said, we're going to give you an option for some free credit counseling if you need that.
mhm. So
So talking a little bit about financing strategies. So I think that for most of us, figuring out how long we want to have this loan for is going to be important. It's going to impact your monthly payment. So as Terrence mentioned, like dealers will often say, well, I can do it, don't worry, they'll just focus on the monthly. So for instance, here, a dealer might be telling you, I can get you in this car for $311 a month. True. However, over the course of that loan, you will have paid a lot more than if you had a 4-year loan or a 6-year loan. So you're going to want to take the shortest period of loan that you can do that works in your budget. Also, you can look at your loan if there are no prepayment penalties. Maybe you go for a longer one because you're not sure, or you're in a transitional time, you're not, maybe not making as much money. So long as there are no prepayment penalties, you could get the one for 7 years and pay $488, so long as you feel comfortable doing it. And that gives you the option to drop down to the 311 if you need to. So you do have options, and you want to do the one that is right for you given your current budget. What are your other goals, financial goals? And so you can kind of ask yourself these questions about how much will the vehicle be worth at the end of the term? That might be something important to keep in mind as well. So let's see. And then you're going to want to shop around for financing.
yes. Oh,
You want to talk
actually,
about this, Terrence, a little bit?
100%. Oh, okay. If you if you're looking for financing, you want to be aware of all of your options, whether it's a car dealer, banks, or credit unions. The dealership might be the most convenient option because they'll be right there. Doesn't mean they'll be the most financially well option for you in your situation. Sometimes if you get in from a bank or credit union, you can be pre-approved, and with that comes some special protections where you are not subject to some of the negotiations that a car dealer will have. Harvard Federal Credit Union, we do have financing available from us. We do have loans as far as low as 7.99% at the time of this presentation. It doesn't mean if you check back tomorrow or like in a couple of days, it might be a little bit different. Don't quote me on that. I do want to let you know, like, hey, we do have this, but it is subject to change based on new loan rates and new terms and whatnot.
Yeah, especially if you're watching this on the YouTube later, you know,
Yes.
check the rates. That's the lowest rate. So the person with the best credit score situation coming in is going to be able to get that. Anyone who is on this call from Mass General Brigham, anywhere in the system, what if you're not a Harvard FCU member, you are still eligible to become a member and get the auto loan. It's something that's available to you. So you know, you can keep that in mind. And I think Ty is going to put in the chat the page on our site for auto loans.
And while you are shopping around, I want to give you this tip where try not to have too many different lenders pull your credit over like a over a 2 week period. So if you're shopping around and you do want to like, hey, you're looking at your options, have everybody pull your credit within a 2 week window. So that way these hard credit pulls don't, well, hard credit inquiries don't stack up and start to really tank your score. If you do within 2 weeks, they will consolidate into one credit pool and you're able to only have the one ding to your credit per se. Um,
Yep.
that's been a great tip, and it's very useful, honestly.
So then
And
just the process, what do we expect? What are the steps here, Terrence?
so first step is submit a loan. Usually that will be online and you can visit harvardfcu.org and go to our loan page. It's usually quick and easy, no worries there. Next step is once you are approved for that loan and you can go into the dealership, you find a car, things are good, then your dealership provides you with a new registration and title application. They'll have a conversation with the RMV, then you'll sign the final loan documents. Be sure to review the final loan documents. Find out exactly how much you'll be paying, if you are getting into a lease, how many miles you'll have per year. If you're buying a new or used car, you want to make sure that everything is bells and whistles. What's the warranty like? What are you really purchasing?
Yeah, I also always look for prepayment penalties. You know, I haven't seen them that often, but I know that some people have got trapped with those. So you don't want to be in a situation where if you pay early, you get a penalty. Like that's the
Yes.
worst. So you any loan that you sign, you don't want to have a prepayment penalty. So take a look at that. So
hmm And
uh,
then funds will be available, and you can walk into the dealership with a check, and things are good.
nice. Um, Yeah,
With
so when you're particularly if you're at the dealer, there's often a kind of complicated contract that is presented to you. You do want to read through that carefully and make sure you understand it. Don't let yourself get rushed because once it's signed, you are responsible to abide by that contract. Ask questions. Um, a good dealer will encourage questions. They want to protect their long-term reputation. So if you are going ahead with financing from the dealership, just really, again, take your time. If you're new to car buying, you know, it might be a great idea to bring someone with you that can help make sure you ask all the questions that you want to ask and don't forget anything.
Oh, and also, you don't have to make a choice right then and there, by the way. I feel like there's a
Good.
lot of pressure to when you walk in, you get a good deal, you feel like I gotta act on it right now. Nope, sleep on it, take a couple days, maybe visit the dealership. The car's not going anywhere. We live in America, a capitalist economy. You're gonna find another deal. Give
Yeah,
it some time.
yeah. Yeah, especially if you don't feel like you've done your due diligence yet, don't let yourself get rushed into anything. There's no reason for that. You do have rights. Some of your rights include the Truth in Lending Act, a federal law that the lender has to really clearly disclose the terms of borrowing. And you'll notice all of these contracts, the terms are laid out the same way. It used to be dealers would like have it phrased slightly differently, and so it was really hard apples to oranges to compare, but the Truth in Lending Act made it so that everybody has to say it the same way. So you can look at those APRs, the annual percentage rate that you're paying and interest, and clearly compare across.
Hmm.
And same thing with leasing. There is a Consumer Leasing Act, and there is a lemon law in Massachusetts. So this only applies to new car purchases by and large. But if your car meets the criteria for a lemon under the lemon law, with a certain amount of defects, then the dealer has to provide you with a replacement car or a refund. So um, if at all possible, you don't want to have to be relying on the lemon law. So again, make sure this is the right thing for you, but you do have rights, and don't be afraid to exercise your rights. And um, we hope that all of this information will help get you into the right car or truck or vehicle for you, because we know that's an exciting moment buying a car. And now we're going to offer you some of those resources that we mentioned about. So we do have a blog that has a lot of good financial information, including articles about buying a car. So you can check that out. I think Ty's going to put that into the chat. We also, through the credit union, you do not have to be a member. You can just use the link to get to this for Learning Lab. We have a free online education portal, and it does have a number of different classes and workshops that are coming up, including a workshop in Spanish that's coming up on buying a car. So if you know someone, or if you yourself would benefit from reviewing this information in Spanish, that is coming up shortly in September. We would love your feedback on this workshop and any other feedback that you can give us. Please, your honest feedback really helps us prepare and make this better for the future. So the link is in the chat. You will also get all these slides and the link for the YouTube and for this survey in your email, because you registered for this webinar. This is like our one takeaway, though, that
Yeah.
anything, right? Terrence, you want to talk a little bit about GreenPath?
Yes. GreenPath is our best friend and should be your best friend in the future, honestly. GreenPath offers financial wellness, offers free credit and budget and housing counseling. So if you watch this webinar and you know that you're in the market for a car in maybe in the next 3 to 6 months, maybe even tomorrow, and you want to know what's the next step I can do right now to like get my budget and my financial situation, or at least take that next first step, GreenPath is the place. It is free to you because we pay for it. And they speak over 100 different languages, and they do offer extended business hours. It's not just 9 to 5. I think it's like 8 to 6 or 7. And if you're caught with them late, they'll stay with you. They are accredited credit counselors. They are also a nonprofit. So if you have any real questions and you want a straightforward answer as to how you can start your financial wellness journey, GreenPath is the place to go.
Yeah, we definitely highly recommend them. And again, Ty's put that into the chat for you. So Terrence mentioned that we do have a YouTube channel. We're Harvard FCU everywhere on socials and YouTube. So check out, we have recent presentations on things like your credit score and improving that.
Hmm. You'll see
Just a
my
little,
face everywhere.
yeah. Just a little disclaimer. This is educational in nature. We're not your tax advisor. We're not your lawyer or investment advice. If you want information about your individual circumstances, we do recommend GreenPath. They are certified financial counselors and, again, nonprofit. And then other questions that you might have, you might want to talk to your lawyer, accountant, etc. We have a question in the chat. Does GreenPath help with budgeting in general? Yes. So if you
Yes.
want to improve your credit, if you want to devise a budget, not just one about buying a car, about anything, maybe you have other financial goals, GreenPath can help you to come up with a budget and a spending plan. And so we definitely recommend that you be in touch with GreenPath. They can also help you with student loan repayment. You know, what strategy should you do? And about your individual circumstance. You do not need to be a member to use the GreenPath resource. So the GreenPath is in the chat. It's harvardfcu.org, Thrive, GreenPath. And, or if you just go to our website and go to the Learn menu, you'll see it in there. So you do not have to be a member to access this. Just go through that link on our website. That means you were referred by us and you can have the free services. We would love to
Huh?
keep in touch with you. Again, you'll get these slides. That's my email and our website. And we're on all the social channels as well. And
Any
I know
other questions coming in,
some
by the
people
way?
have put questions into the chat, but does anybody else have any other questions before we wrap this up? It's the Q&A feature, so not the chat, but if you go into more in Q&A, you can drop a question in there. If not, I would really like to thank all of you for taking time out of your lunch hour to come and learn. And we hope that this was helpful to you and that you are in a better position to buy the car that you want or lease. So have a great rest of your day, and thank you everybody for showing up.
Thanks for being here, guys.